Begin by prepping the module before installing it into the housing. The trunk and bridger drop-ins come with jumpers pre-installed. Ports 2 and 5 are disabled by default. Using jumpers, splitters, and directional couplers, configure the amp according to system design. The arrows on the directional couplers indicate the direction of the through port and the coupled port. In the trunk and bridgers, the fuses that are located in the power supply control the power passing. In the line extender, the fuse power directors are used to configure the ports for power passing or power stop positions. The forward input and reverse output padding and equalization come without pads installed. They are set up using standard JXP pads. Refer to the amplifier you are replacing or pad and EQ according to system design to achieve ballpark levels and prepare the module for setup. If cable equivalent equalization is needed for a housing with a short run of cable leading into it, you can pop out the pre-installed pad adjustable AEQ and replace it with a pad adjustable ACEQ. Now that the amp has been prepped, remove the module you are looking to replace and install the ACI drop-in. Torque the RF module's 4 mounting screws between 18 to 22 inch-pounds. A newer power supply with a 12-pin connector will plug directly into the module. If the housing has an older power supply with a 9-pin connector, we have a 9 to 12-pin converter cable available. Power up the amp. The ASEM AGC will take a moment to turn on, then it will begin to flash blue on and off. This indicates that the ASEM AGC is in manual mode. Balance the levels on the amp as you normally would. You can adjust the forward pad port 2 and 3 and forward pad port 5 and 6 up to plus or minus 3 dB if needed. Plug the controller into the ASEM. The controller LED will flash red and blue for a few seconds while it syncs up, then will turn solid blue to indicate that the ASEM is still in manual mode. The controller is used to upload the pilot channel into the ASEM and place it into AGC mode. The back of the controller shows what channel the controller is programmed for. The mode button cycles through the 3 available modes. Clicking it while in manual mode will switch the ASEM into AGC mode. Clicking again will switch the ASEM into thermal Bodie mode. Clicking once more will cycle the ASEM back to manual mode. The plus and minus buttons are only needed when setting up in extremely hot or extremely cold conditions. If the outside temperature is between 40 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit, there is no need to use the plus and minus buttons. If it is extremely hot or cold out, you can use the plus and minus buttons to adjust the Bodie position for optimal performance. Refer to this chart for recommended adjustments. For example, if the weather outside is above 100 degrees, tap the plus button on the controller a couple times to raise the level reading on your meter by 2 dB. Then, change the pad at the input to get back to system design levels. Now that the amp is balanced and an extreme temperature adjustment was made if it was needed, press the mode button on the controller to cycle the ASEM over to AGC mode. The controller will flash blue and red for about 30 seconds while it uploads the pilot channel into the ASEM and the ASEM locks onto the pilot. When the alignment is finished, the controller will flash blue on and off rapidly, indicating that the ASEM is now in AGC mode. The LED on the ASEM will flash a pattern representing the pilot channel it has locked onto. In this example, the ASEM is set to channel 88 digital. We see 8 quick blinks to represent 80, another 8 quick blinks to represent 8, and then 2 long blinks to represent digital, as opposed to just 1 long blink, which would represent analog. Here are some examples of blinking patterns for other channels.